So how did you get into mental health?
I got into mental health, I suffered depression myself. I've always had a very active mind. When I finished up at high school, I went through a really bad period for about 3 years where I was off the rails, didn't know who I was, didn't really know what I wanted and couldn't see a future. And it just went on and on and on, and it was linked to a whole range of different things that I dealt with growing up, insecurity issues, being, like I said, overthinking and being very obsessive, I guess, about how I saw life. And it was only because I went through that experience, and when I came through the other end, I wound up in the media and had the opportunity to speak about what I had gone through, and that led to me getting asked to talk at different schools and share my story, and I had a really good response. The kids were coming up and saying, thank you so much for sharing that story. That really helped me. That led to me going and getting help and speaking to someone, and I found that incredibly important to learn, I guess, how big of an issue it was, and it just organically built, and I kept running these seminars. I got trained as a facilitator in sort of behaviour change, and it's been an area throughout doing other things that I've just stuck at.
But mental health's always been an issue right through history, but it seems to be accepted much more as being an issue in the broader community. Why is that, do you think?
It's accepted more. Well, there's more of a conversation about it now. I mean, there still is a stigma, but I guess in the last 10 years, the progress that has been made is enormous. People are more open to talk about it. I think with men especially, there's it's really tough. Men have traditionally been made to feel that we shouldn't show emotion. Suck it up and get on with it, yeah. And that's slowly changing. It's still an issue, especially in more rural sort of areas. There is still that stigma, but again, if you look at the progress, it's enormous. And I really think the next step is more, how can we make practical day-to-day solutions through technology, through different platforms that across the board can give people the tools to actually make daily change? Because it's one thing to have the awareness about it, but then to actually be able to implement that, that's a whole another thing, and that takes behaviour change, that takes habit formation and day-to-day practice. So it's a complicated area.
Oh, it is. And I was just going to say, look, when you're now getting a lot more blending of people working from home and working out of an office or coming into an office occasionally, you're getting a bigger blending of all their issues in their life coming into one. So it's harder for people to compartmentalize these days.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's where workplaces have a huge role, and my organisation is doing a lot more work. It's like never thought about this issue until 3 or 4 years ago, but doing a lot more work around trying to help businesses identify symptoms. How do they help their workforce to get through the occasional tough time? It's a big issue, and it doesn't last forever, but it's all about giving support and getting others within the workplace to recognise symptoms, but also to provide support without being overly sort of cloying about it. So it's a big issue.